Please. Welcome. At this time, I would like to call the September 6, 2022 Stanley County Board of Education meeting to order. Welcome to those of you that are here in attendance and to those that may be joining us via live streaming. We appreciate you being here and for your support of Stanley County Schools. At this time, I would like to call on Ms. Vicki Watson for our invocation and our pledge to allegiance to the flag. Would you bow with me, please? Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day and thank you for all that you do for us. And as we are here in this meeting tonight, please give us the knowledge and the right answers for our Stanley County schools and our staff. Thank you so much, Heavenly Father, and bless these things in your name. Amen. And to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On our agenda this evening is a time to recognize with great honor and thankfulness our Stanley County Schools 2021-2022 retirees. I'm going to turn this over to our superintendent, Dr. Jerry Dennis.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I just want to say I had a great time reconnecting with some of you guys and meeting some of you that I have not formally met before. I do want to thank you for your dedication and honor to all of our students, and how hard you worked over how many so ever years before you decided to retire. You've made a difference in the lives of a lot of young people. Some of you I don't call anybody out. I know because I was in school when you were there. And she was just out of school. Miss Crump was my homeroom teacher my senior year when she started her voyage into education. And I enjoyed having you that year. And I appreciate not just Miss Crump, but all of you and everything you've done. So what we'd like to do now is Miss Wood, who is our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, is just going to call your name, and we just want to come up here and honor you and give you a small token of our appreciation.
Good evening. It is with great pleasure tonight that we recognize our dedicated employees who retired within the past 12 months. We appreciate all that you have done for Stanley County Schools. It takes a village to raise a child, and that is especially true in terms of educating children in early childhood through high school. So please know we thank you for serving the students and families of Stanley County Schools. So when I call your name, if you would please come forward to accept a small token of our appreciation, and then if you would kind of move in that direction and stay standing, because we would love to get a picture of everyone as well at the end. So Teresa Bangle from Millingport Elementary. I'd like to recognize Nancy Barbie from Locust Elementary, who could not be with us this evening. Lori Backham from North Stanley High School. Donna Blake from West Stanley High School. Phyllis Bowman from Baden Elementary could not be with us tonight. Oh, I'm sorry, she's Amy Brundage from West Stanley High School. Danny Buchanan from our maintenance department. Don't believe he's here. Gary Burleson from North Stanley High School. James Cagle from West Stanley High School. I don't believe he's here either. Renee Carpenter from South Stanley High School. Lynn Chance from Albemarle Middle School. And Kathy Copeland from North Stanley Middle School could not be with us this evening. Teresa Crump from Stanley Academy. Sean Gray, I don't believe is with us. However, Tanya Gray from Baden Elementary. Natalie Harris from South Stanley High School. Tracy Honeycutt from West Stanley High School and Laura Honeycutt from Stanley STEM Early College. I don't believe are with us this evening. Renee Honeycutt from Albemarle High School. Janet Lancaster from West Stanley High School. Judy Louder from North Stanley High School is not with us. Susan Moss from Norwood Elementary. Star Page from Locust Elementary. Paige Parker from West Stanley Middle School could not be with us this evening. Frank Poulos from North Stanley High School. And Laura Beth Poulos from Transportation. Tamara Pope from West Stanley Middle School. Deborah Randall from Ackerdale Elementary could not be with us this evening. Christy Rowland from our central office. Janet Ross from Early College. Carla Ross from Albemarle High School and Elizabeth Seyfried from Indy Elementary could not be with us this evening. Rebecca Stepp from Richfield Elementary. Nancy Swearingen from Ackerdale Elementary. John Thompson Jr. from West Stanley High School. Angela Tucker from Richfield Elementary. Pamela Works from Baden Elementary could not be with us this evening, and Lynette Whitley from Richfield Elementary. Congratulations again on your retirement, and we certainly wish you the best in your journey to come.
All get together, but I'm not gonna be able to fit all that in one shot. I have all the views. This way? That'd be great. Check out that sheet. Is that it? Ready?
Here, Sarah.
Let's see, you got there. Board members. That was nice.
Well, certainly to all of our retirees, our school board will forever be grateful and thankful for their many years of service. I know we had a reception for them, and we were all down there, talking with them, and we can see the excitement that they have in their retirement. So we appreciate all of them. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to enter into closed session for personnel matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, Section 86. Student matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, Section 81. Attorney-client matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, Section 83. May I have a motion? Make a motion to go into closed session. A motion by Ms. Conklin, a second by Ms. Watson. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The board is now in closed session. This time I would like to call the board back into open session. Once again, welcome to those of you that are in attendance. We appreciate you being here. Next on the agenda is public comments. In accordance with policy 2310, public participation at board meetings each month, part of at least one regular scheduled meeting, will be set aside for citizens to address the board in public comment. Each speaker will receive 3 minutes to present comments. However, the public comment session will not exceed 15 minutes total, except by a majority vote of the board. I'm not sure how many of these we will get through. That's I'm going to start at the top. So not to exceed 15 minutes. Ms. Perez, Morgan Perez. Now, Ms. Perez, this might help a person that's at the bottom here of the list to speak. You and Ms. Anita Starnes, are you talking like the same topic, and that possibly could one possibly speak, and that would allow another person here?
We would both like to see, and you can allow the person to see.
We just will not go forward because it's not more than 15 minutes.
My name is Morgan Perez. The truancy and attendance information that I share with you tonight is from last school year, 2021-2022, and was requested through the public information request link on the SCS website. In North Carolina, the attendance law states that a family can be charged for truancy when a student reaches 10 or more unexcused absences. North Carolina leaves the decision up to the local school district. The Albemarle City jurisdiction, with 6 schools, had 296 students in violation of the attendance law. 2 families were criminally charged with truancy. The South Stanley zone with 6 schools had 185 students in violation. 6 families were charged with truancy. The North Stanley jurisdiction, with 5 schools, had 275 truant students. 0 families were charged with truancy. The West Stanley zone, with 5 schools, had 204 students in violation of the attendance law. 1 family was criminally charged with truancy. Somehow, my family was selected for a criminal truancy charge, and all other truant families in the same zone were not. A total of 960 SCS students were in violation of the attendance law. A total of 9 families were criminally charged with truancy. What steps does SCS require to happen before a truancy charge is permitted to be filed? Who is required to be involved with a truancy charge? How are these 9 families selected? How do principals choose which absences to overlook? In my case, it seems that being criminally charged with truancy depends on who you are, who you know, and where you live. A criminal truancy charge is very serious. It is a misdemeanor, and a hearing in district court is required. A possible consequence is jail time. An unnecessary criminal truancy charge benefits no one. The principal at Indy knew that charging me with truancy would only harm my son and my family. I have not been given a reason as to why my family was the only one at Indy to be criminally charged with truancy. Was it a decision based on my son's ethnicity? Why did the principal single out my biracial child for the one and only truancy charge at her school? Other parents should be aware that this principle could be discriminatory toward their children. Truancy and attendance is a general topic. Truancy procedure is important to me and others in our community. SCS needs to be transparent about this topic. I would like to ask each of you to please take the time during
Thank
your
you.
comments
Thank you,
at
Ms.
the end of
Perez.
this meeting to address the truancy policy. The staggering inconsistencies need to be explained in detail. You have had enough time to remain silent. Please publicly address me and this community about the Stanley County Schools truancy process.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Annette Starnes.
Is the next Storms. Why is a principal allowed to make a mistake, a major mistake, and not correct it? We all make mistakes. Good people admit, acknowledge, and correct your mistake. Good people do not try to hide your mistake and coerce others to support it. Why is a principal allowed to discriminate against a child and his family? Why is a principal allowed to use a personal vendetta to have a family criminally charged with truancy? My grandson has been expelled from his school, therefore he is being denied his right for public education. Before a criminal truancy charge is filed, there are rules that should be followed. Multiple meetings with the family of the truant child should be scheduled. That did not happen. A home visit by the assigned social worker should be scheduled. That did not happen. The speculation about why this family was singled out and criminally charged will continue if no reason is provided. Was it a personal grudge? Was it a power struggle? Was she seeking revenge? Was it discrimination or racism? Was it jealousy? Was it a lack of judgment? Was it a sour and inept attitude? What is the underlying reason for this puzzling, absurd, and unnecessary criminal truancy charge? The attendance and truancy policy of any school needs to be thoroughly examined, investigated, and revised by you, the school board members. That is in your job description. Why have you all remained silent about this issue? Not one of you has attempted to speak to me or my daughter in the past month. That is shameful. Your silence in this case equals guilt. No response means no responsibility. How embarrassing for you folks. Each day adds more mental anguish to this family. This situation should have been and could have been resolved 6 months ago. I ask once again for a timely response. I will remind you that is called being polite. Please respond tonight during your comments.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Ginger Whitman.
Wanted to know if someone wanted to give up their slot, so you have 6 people.
I do, Ginger, I'm gonna ask the board. Have one more person for that 6th spot. With your approval. Then allow. I need a motion to allow. Such a serious context.
So what is that?
We're good, Ginger. Thank you.
11, 6, you said?
No, Ginger, but you are up next.
So you're not gonna let.
Thanks, Steve.
No,
Thanks, Steve.
That is the last speaker.
You're gonna let me speak,
on
I'm
the list.
We only have one over time.
You're the,
Like 6 or 7.
no, there's not, you're the first.
So tonight, my name is Ginger Whitley, I'm with Bonds for Liberty. I'm just gonna talk to you about a few things. The last time I spoke to you guys was in regards to the sexual content of books that were in our libraries, high school and middle school. I had emailed each one of you asking what the policy was, what's the update, what's the status. Have any of you emailed me back? I emailed Carla after I had emailed 3 or 4 other times, and she finally did email me back, but she's the only one. Now, when elections were going on, every one of you said, hey, we'll email you back, parents. If you got questions, just email us, and we'll answer you. That's not been the case here. And there's not a reason for that. If it's against your policy or if it's against your code of conduct to not respond to a certain question, just let the parents know. It's against the policy, we can't respond at this time. But blatantly ignoring someone is not right. If it were your child, would you want to be ignored? You all have children, right? You wouldn't want to be ignored. Second thing I'd like to speak on behalf of our teachers shortage. There's such staff shortage, and we wonder why. Is it the salary? Is it the benefits? Is it what's going to be going on in Albemarle High School and the STEM school? The switching of teachers that were thinking that they were working at one school didn't have a choice but to go to the other school and teach. I'm sure they didn't raise their hand and said, me, I want to go from that school to this school. Because they are a Stanley County School employee, were they given a choice? Maybe this is why the county has a shortage of teachers. What about bus drivers? We have children that are not even being able to be picked up. They have no way to get to school. Are they going to be charged with truancy? These are the things that you're responsible for making decisions and policies on. Us parents would like for you to take it seriously and stop ignoring us. Or stop sitting there and just staring at us like we don't exist. Answer the questions or an email. Let us know. Communication is very vital. And it can go a long way with serving our students, our parents, and the community. But sitting there staring off into the crowd like this does not work. It's not reasonable, it's not ethical.
Thank you.
Okay?
Lynn? Jennifer, Lynn?
I know, girl.
Okay. Miss Kaden Butler?
Hi, I'm Kaylin, and I go to West Salem Middle School. I'm here to tell you about my perspective of the new connection swap. If this is meant to catch up on work or learning else from COVID, that is not what is happening in class. We are learning more of how we interact with others. We are losing class time in our core classes, and it's an important collectives. I was inducted in AIG at the end of last year, and I was told that they would incorporate the advanced material in my connection block. That is not happening. Other classmates have said the same things as I've stated tonight. My teacher has also said that it is wasting valuable class time if you would just leave not have connections block. I would also like to know what is the main purpose of the connections block.
Last speaker, Mr.
Yes.
Caitlin. Caitlin, will you come up to the podium, please? Will you come up? I have a clarifying question I want to ask. So you were inducted into AIG. Congratulations with that. How are you being served your AIG right now?
Was gonna be linked to their connections, and that's not really happening. I thought maybe it's just for the first week, maybe it's the first week, but it's still not happening.
Thank you for answering that for me. Thank you. Last speaker, Mr. Joshua Ballard.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Josh. I live in Albemarle. Can y'all hear me? First off, I'd like to congratulate, if any of them are still here, all the retirees. You know, we hate to see you go, but enjoy that next stage in your life. So I'm going to start off with this. See, since I've become a stay-at-home dad after retiring from the military, and my kids being the age they are, my primary responsibility is their educational achievement. Unfortunately, I had to miss the teddy bears and the crayons phases as being deployed. I push for their educational achievement. It's something that I take seriously, and I push my kids to take the hardest courses and strive to pass the mark of mediocrity. Excellence is the goal. When me, my wife, and my kids put in the effort to push for excellence and separation from peers, it sickens me to the core when the powers that be steal resources from them. Being my son at the early college, taking his teacher that was in instruction for 3 weeks and moving him out for a substitute with no more than 24-hour notice to the parents in which it was happening. I find that sickening. Same ferocity that I brought to being a non-commissioned officer in the military will be implied or applied in order to accomplish the task to make sure my son sets himself apart from his peers. Because while I can pay for his college, I can't get him in. And he wants to go to UNC Chapel Hill. And does anybody up on that stage know what the acceptance rate was to UNC Chapel Hill last year? 24%. So when we put him in a learning curve, especially in the collegiate level course, by taking away a teacher that was teaching 3 weeks in order to put a substitute in because of licensure or all this, it makes me upset. Well, I'm past upset. I'm past angry. I'm past all that. Now I'm sad because I reached out. I reached out to a lot of people and asked for a response on things. I posted the memorandum that was sent from the administrator. I got a response from one board member, and guess who that is? He's not here tonight. So I'd like to thank Mr. Anthony Graves for reaching out to me and talking with me about it and explaining the situation. But this is what saddens me. You guys were elected to a position. You guys were elected to ensure that these things go forward. And all I hear whenever it's calling the superintendent's office, or calling board members, or calling administrators, is excuses and blame shifting. Unfunded mandates here, and it's the county commission over there, and it's all these things. Leadership and responsibility. I've heard that preached on this stage by some of these members. What leader blame shifts all their problems away? What leader? The leader of that ship, guess what? I don't want to be on. And it sickens me that you guys sit in an elevated position above us because we elected to put you there. And y'all give us no response. And I'm sorry to you guys for not getting a response about that. And I hope you pursue legal action. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is your consent agenda. You have had time to look over the minutes from the August 2nd, 2022 regular meeting, the August the 5th, 2022 work session, the August 24th, 2022 emergency call meeting. If there are no corrections, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? A motion by Ms. Conklin to approve, a second. A second by Mr. Biz. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. Next on your agenda are committee reports, facilities, Dr. Leffler.
We had a facilities meeting on August the 30th, and we discussed our facilities. All of our high schools, all of them were built in about 1962, and most of them are nearly falling down. So we had a long discussion about all the repairs and the air conditioning and all that we're having to do to our facilities to keep them going. We've been talking about this for several months, but over the next several months, we're going to have a meeting, a conversation with county commissioners and just give them our long-term plan about our high schools. We thought we'd start at the high schools to begin with, and then we'd work our way down in the lower grades. Now, if you look at our facilities, we don't have labs, we don't have CTE offerings and the facilities to have the offerings in all of our schools. So we're going to look at several plans. One of them will possibly have 2 high schools, and we might even get a cost what it would be for 1 high school. Just to look at it, this is looking at it 10 to 15 years down the road, because we don't have the funds to do it now. We also discussed the lottery money, low wealth grants that we applied for this year to add on to West Stanley, add on to East Albemarle, add on to Indy. And one of those will probably be funded this year with the lottery money. So hopefully we'll get something out of that, but we just need to sit down with the county commissioners and just tell them our plans and see what direction we need to be going in, because we need to make things the best they can be for our whole county. And in fact, we might get a generalized architect design to see what, quote, a modern high school might look like. We're not going to get something specific for our own county, but we're going to get something generalized so we can see what the new high school, the one with all the bells and whistles, is like. So that's what we looked at. And we think by doing that we can offer the curriculum equal offerings at all the schools, because now some of our schools have most all of the offerings, and some of our schools have very little as compared to the others. So we're going to try to get it equalized possibly in the future. And that's it for the meeting. But we're going to have monthly meetings. Before the facilities meeting would be about once a year or twice a month. We're going to try to have it every month. We're going to try to get up to the standard that we'd like our schools and our students to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. Finance, Mr. Biz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee met on August 30th last week. It's our first meeting since June. Mr. W had been out a couple surgeries, but the main gist of the meeting was to discuss the recent North Carolina budget that had passed in July after the fiscal year ended for Stanley County Schools and the county. If you recall or don't recall, we submitted a budget request back in the spring to our commissioners. Really a lot to the normal funding that we need, but 3 additional things. One was about a 1 to 1.5% raise for our teachers. But on top of that, mainly the state mandate came down to pay classified employees a minimum of $15 an hour. And last fiscal year it was $13. And so in order for us to do that, we were able to cover it for the last fiscal year. We were gonna need at least $800,000 additional dollars just to be paid. We requested more than that for the three things I mentioned, also to include classified to fix the pay scale. And what I mean by fixing the pay scale is we have many employees, some of which you saw sitting here tonight, that are get paid a certain pay per hour, which is the same as someone entering. And they have not had a step up or a pay increase in many, many years. And in order for us to fix that, it's going to cost the school system about another $1 million per year in recurring funding. I say all of this that North Carolina passed the state budget in July after the fiscal year. And really what that means for Stanley County Schools, in order to meet the bare minimum payroll, we're going to run out sometime in the spring. So we can't fix the pay scale without the additional funding. We can't give our teachers the raises that we need. So we kind of to build on to Dr. Lepper's point, today we've had a good working relationship with the county commissioners. We've been in touch with and speaking with some of the ones coming on board. And I think that we're going to be able to get something done in the future. It's going to be some tough decisions, but just to give you another idea of some things that will hinder our school system from a funding perspective, child nutrition services. So before school started, that cost went up 3 times. And there are, so certain qualifiers allow certain schools to have the kids be able to have their meal paid. And all of our elementary schools, Albemarle Middle School, and Albemarle High School qualify for that. The county has to pick up the rest, which means you, the taxpayer, have to pick up the rest. We are trying to determine, due to the inflated boost costs, exactly what that's going to be. What it really means is we're going to have more money. And when you think about our school systems, and you think about what we need to make it work, help us work with the county commissioners. We have some really good commissioners. I think they look out for the best interest of the taxpayers. But at the end of the day, we as a county have to decide, including myself as a voter and a taxpayer, when are we going to make our schools a higher priority? Because we do want to pay our bus drivers. We do want to pay our transportation. If you go back and look at the meeting minutes, we've been discussing that from our committees and in our recommendations. That would really be about it. Some questions that came along, and Madam Chair, I'll finish on this. Some questions that came to me over some of the ESSER funding that comes from the federal government. I think Mr. Dudley was preparing that. We want to be as transparent as possible so that the public can see how the federal government has given us the money. We have to submit a plan and it gets approved. First 2 rounds are pretty much exhausted. We've applied for the 3rd and final round unless they issue more for things like bonuses, safety coordinators, added in middle schools. But that will be exhausted. And we should have that present at some point in the future. But again, those things would allow us, like here in Albemarle, to give the teachers and the administration a bonus and a retention bonus. And I think so far that's worked. It would be great if we could do that for other schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bisson. Instructional program, Mr. Bill Sorensen.
I have no report about anything.
Thank you. Marketing and community engagement safety, Ms. Carla Hoffman.
Yes, we are actually having a, community engagement, marketing, safety committee meeting tomorrow. But I'm sure after the first couple of weeks of school, our first week and a half, we'll have some things to talk about. But, we did discuss some safety things at our work session, and, those were implemented for the start of the school year. And I think we are taking good strides in trying to make all our schools as safe as possible.
Thank you. Personnel, Mr. Vicky Watson. Thank you. Okay, back to you, Ms. Coughlin, policy.
Okay, so policy committee met on August 15th, and, I have one policy for final approval tonight, and then I have a list to be tabled for 30 days. So, new policy 7360/8225 crowdfunding on behalf of the school system is up for final approval tonight.
So the policy 7360/8225 crowdfunding on behalf of the school system. I know we had some extra time to look over that. Thank you for allowing us to do that. I need a motion for approval of that policy.
I'm going to approve the policy.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Lewis, a second. Second by Mr. Sorensen. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. And that policy has been approved.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and remove this for the table for 30 days. Policy 3200, selection of instructional materials. Policy 3210, rental inspection of and objections to instructional materials. Policy 2121, board member conflict of interest. Policy 2210, duties of officers. Policy 2400, board policies. Policy 2410, policy development. Policy 2420, adoption of policies, was rescinded. Policy 2430, dissemination and preservation of policies. Policy 2440, policy review and evaluation, rescind. Policy 2450, suspension of board policies, rescind. Basically, those three were combined into another one. Policy 2600, consultants to the board. 3102, instructions. 3430, school improvement plans. 4110, immunization and health requirements for school admission. 4240/7315, child abuse and related threats to child safety. 4260, student sex offenders. 4302-R, rules for use of seclusion and restraint in schools, and 4400, attendance.
These are just been tabled.
Well, I need a motion to, or they're just
They're just tabled. They're just tabled. We'll vote on the next one.
Yes.
Thank you, and the policy committee. I know you worked hard for all of these. Next on the agenda is curriculum and instruction. I will turn this over to you, Dr. Amber Lewis.
Good evening. In your packet, near the very back, there is our continuing contract with Adjournment that provides the services for SCO, our virtual school. And because it does exceed the $50,000 threshold, we do require board approval. So I would ask for a vote at this time.
Board members, you've seen this in your packet with the ad income. This is for the approval for the ed options for the SCO program
Yes, ma'am. It also includes the Yes Academy students as
and the
well.
Yes Academy.
Yes, ma'am. 180 students.
And may I have a motion to approve the ed option for the SCO Academy and the Yes program for this upcoming year as presented?
I move to approve the policy.
Okay, a motion by Dustin Lewis, a second by Ms. Coughlin. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, this motion has passed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up is auxiliary services. Mr. Dudley.
Good evening. I placed, the now concerning COVID funds update on your desk or on your table in front of you right before the meeting. It was mentioned back in our finance committee meeting last week. I sort of give you an update of where we stand with the remaining part of our ESSER funds and GEAR funds. that we have. On the first part of it, I've done it back in front, so the front of it, it talks about the Stanley County Schools COVID funds update for September the 6th, 2022. We have listed as ESSER funds 1 and GEAR funds. That's the first part of the funding that came out a little over 2 years ago, and that expires as of September 30th of 22. So we have just a little over $200,000 remaining there. Those funds are used for, or will be used for the remaining for digital curricula, exceptional children contract services, and of course our additional responsibilities that our nurses and social workers have taken on concerning COVID health issues. So that will, as I said, we have to encumber that funding by September 30th and exhaust all expenditures as of December 31st of 22 on that part. ESSER 2 was the second pot of money that started coming out, and there is about 7 different parts of ESSER 2 funding. And they range anywhere from learning laws to curricula to hiring staff to actually supplementing where areas that's needed for COVID funds. And you'll see I've got them listed there, some of the items that we're using the ESSER 2 funds. We have roughly a little over $2.9 million remaining. That funding will cease on September 30th of 23. We will actually be using that for the remaining of our math curriculum, K-8, and reading curriculum, 6A, when it comes to resources and professional development for our teachers. We have our community wellness partnerships that we have relating to improving student and staff attendance. We also use it concerning our for tutoring for learning loss for students, as well as our SCODA program or our virtual program that we have here in Stanley County Schools, and as well as any contract services we have for student counseling, for mental health, and stuff of that sort. And also to advance the last two items, our Chromebooks for our and our Chromebook carts for our classroom instruction for virtual learning, as well as we also have audio systems that we put in place for virtual learning a little over a year ago. If you flip over our ESSER 3 funds, there's several parts of that remaining. That is total roughly about $11,247,000 that we still have available for ESSER 3. That funding runs out September 30th of 24. And you'll see I've got listed several things that we use there. This is a pot of money that we have to spend 20% of it, of the funding for learning loss. And you'll see that's the first thing I've addressed on this is our learning loss that we're using for ESSER 3. And that's where we're using summer school, STEM initiatives. We have an individual hired there for family liaison that we use between the school and the families and the students, and as well as academic interventionists that help track student progress. We also use this money for improving our air quality in our schools. We also, in this funding, we have for district safety officer as well as safety initiatives that we've put in place in our schools over the last year. Sanitation and cleanliness for COVID health issues, we still have that in there. We also have our retention bonuses for our staff. With that, something we put in place last year that was paid out in June. We have another bonus coming out. Any employees that is employed and still hired as of September 1st of 22, there will be a bonus paid in October for that. We also have our hard staff incentives. We have several positions we have that last year wasn't even filled, and also starting out this school year it was not filled. So we've actually got bonuses for hard staff areas based on the cost of pandemic issues. Also, we have some homeless student funding in that ESSER 3, and you'll see that listed as well. And then, of course, we also have some funding for our gaggle and our cyberbullying and suicide prevention. Total right now, as of July the 1st of 22, we have a little over $14,439,000 of ESSER funds that we can spend between now and September 24. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think there's anything that we need to approve, you just updated it, so all it is. So, thank you. Next on the agenda, superintendent comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we all know, school has began. I want to thank all of our teachers and staff for their hard work. I want to thank our students. I've heard many positive comments from teachers as I've been across the district, saying the students are coming back more focused and eager to learn. And that's always really encouraging to hear. I hope everyone had a good Labor Day. I did enjoy seeing our retirees and being able to talk to them at the reception. They look like they enjoyed it as well. And also, we have some good athletic contests that have been taking place and will be taking place, so I encourage everyone to attend.
Thank you. I'm going to start. Mr. Sorensen, with you. Board member comments.
All right, accused of being a mummer, so I will use the microphone for this. I've got a few things we'll talk about on this, and first off, some of you folks talk about sending emails to not get responses to. I'd love to read and hear those. I wasn't ignoring you, I'm not getting your email. I got nothing from you, sir.
I tagged you, you responded.
From you, so that's something we need to look into on my end. We have gremlins in the Google system. I'm afraid that may be affecting some of my colleagues up here. I'm telling you straight like that. Here's your homework. I won't tonight or tomorrow, I'll send you an email. And if I don't get it, then I'll know that same time. I won't have one for you. And I'm for you, sir. So I'm just saying. All right, let me know if comments are one to make, right? First, to our retirees, just a general comment to these folks. A lot of work for a lot of those people. It actually kind of tugs at my heartstrings. And I give them a hard time trying to comment on one more year. But some people have to wonder the difference. Our retirees don't have to. Every single one of those folks make a huge difference in the world, positive difference in the world. And I'm grateful for them. I'd like to call out some towns and cities, Norwood, Oakboro, Stanfield, and Locust. Since Uvalde, I've lost sleep over the reality that our elementary schools are soft targets. Military background here too, you think worst case scenarios, you prepare for worst case scenarios. Those localities have come forward and offered to help us with SROs. I understand City Allen's talking about it right now as we speak across town. We shouldn't need SROs in our elementary schools, but I sleep that way if we've got it. So I want to thank Norwood, Oakboro, Stanfield, and Locust personally, passionately, I'm grateful for them. The last thing we'll talk about is I'm not taking my clothes off, they get hot there. Got a little symbol here that I've been wearing all day, and it's a state champion softball 22 single A. This is what the girls in South Stanley won this past year. And you might be saying, well, that's all really why am I bringing this up. The National Fast-Pitch Softball Coaches Association released results recently of the top academic honors in the entire country. This same group of girls scored the number 8 highest academic scores in the nation. Think about that. They're the best in the state in volleyball, and the 8th in the nation in academics. And I just wanted to call out the folks at South Stanley, South Stanley guy, that's their teachers work there, that's the bus driver, that's the cafeteria, it's the family environment South that allows those girls to have it. What have I got to do? It's not a thing, man. I know about not just got out in the stands, but home games. I wanted to call them out, and I want you all to get the idea. This is what South Stanley, this is what Stanley County Schools is supposed to be about. Academic excellence, athletic excellence, and building future leaders. That's what we're doing. I'm so proud of those kids, the parents, the coaching staff, but this is a award for the teachers, 8th in the nation. So that's all I got. Thank you.
May we clap for that? Absolutely. I'm proud of them too, Mr. Sorensen. Next, Ms. Watson.
And I want to congratulate all of our retirees. Because they know that in 6 months they can come back and help us. It would be wonderful. We lost some good teachers there. Mr. Sorensen and his team, I want to congratulate them too. We've had some good sports things going on in Stanley County. And I know we will as we go forward with our schools. The school has started, and I hope that everyone knows that we do care. We really do. I think some of you think that we don't do anything, we don't think about it, but we do. We pray about it. And please know that every child in this district means something to us. I just wish all of our teachers and our staff and our students will have a wonderful, wonderful year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Spoken from the heart. Next, Ms. Poplar.
I want to start out by thanking our public comment speakers tonight, Ms. Perez, Ms. Starnes, Ms. Whitley. Especially Carolyn, thank you for coming and speaking to us. A little bit of bravery to get up there and do that, so I appreciate that. And Mr. Bound. Thank you. And back to Ms. Whitley, that policy that you were in that email about, you should be able to review that after tonight's meeting. It will be posted. Now that they're. And I want to thank all of our retired teachers. We appreciate you guys coming out for the reception, and we appreciate all the dedication and hard work you gave to our schools, and we wish you the best. But along with Ms. Watson, we would love to have you back in 6 months if you want to come and sub or help us with those long-term maternity subs we're going to have out in the Western. We have quite a few coming up, so any of you want to take one of those, we would appreciate it. I did have on my notes also to thank those local municipalities that are providing us SROs. Being on that safety committee, to hear some of the comments during our work session about how our elementary schools are now also under attack. As a mom, those are babies. Those are the kindergartners, the first graders. Those are things that none of us want to think about or talk about. But unfortunately, that's where we are, and that's what we have to do. So, one can only hope that that meeting tonight at the city council will go well, along with, we've got a meeting with commissioners coming up on the municipalities that were not able to provide those to our, elementary schools. So we look forward to that. Congratulations on making it through the first week of school to all of our staff. We look forward to a great year. I'm personally excited about getting back to my lunch buddy duties and see my little friends twice a week. And I just hope that we can continue this year.
Ms. Poplar. Next, Mr. List.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to the speakers and Mrs. Whitley. I'm gonna give a little shout out to Carl. I think you're gonna like that policy. That committee's worked on it for probably several months now, even going back before the election. So I don't know as far as the communication amongst everyone, but I can say that that committee had, and I don't serve on that, had been working very diligently to really make it what it is. And I think it's going to be a better policy that you're going to like, so I'm interested to hear. And thank you to the remainder of the speakers, Mrs. Perez, Mr. Ballinger, and Mrs. Butler. You have a very smart mother. It's always been really nice to me, so I think you're going to do very well. I did want to, I see Mrs. Dombrowski sitting out there, so I'm not putting you on the spot or anything. But I want to put a little bit better spin on the SNAP article. That, and I like Chris, he's always really fair, but, where it goes over the grades of our schools. And when I read that, when I look on the second page and I look at all of our schools, what I see are 17 of our 22 schools that met or exceeded growth. If you're not familiar with how that scoring works, it's a bit arbitrary in how they judge proficiency and growth. There's a strong positive correlation between proficiency and income levels for a given district, school district. But to have 17 that met or exceeded growth goes to tell me, including Mrs. Dombrowski, who finished with a B and exceeded growth. Now at the early college, which I think maybe came from a D, I can't recall off the top of my head, but it was pretty strong. So what it tells me is that we have really good teachers in our schools, and we have a really strong administration. And I just want to give all of them a big thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Liz. Dr. Lynn.
Thank you for everybody that spoke tonight in the public comments, but especially Kaylin. And it's good to hear people that speak, because the connections, what that is try to catch up with all of our students that have gotten behind with COVID. And they've gotten behind several years. So they use 45 minutes and they're assisting. Kayla's at the top, which is wonderful. I was never there at the top. I was in the middle, maybe upper middle, but not at the top. So good job being at the top. But what the teachers do during that period of time, they go back over old stuff so they can catch them up and get them more grade level proficient, because they weren't fortunate to be above grade level like you are. So good job. And I assumed, or we've been told, that the AIG program had a special time during the day. I didn't know it was connections, so we'll check into that and get back to you just to find out how the AIG is working. And it was wonderful to hear all the other public comments also. Some of the things that, if it's a personnel issue or a student issue, we cannot respond to that. That's not allowed. So we can't respond to a personnel or a student issue.
Truancy is not specific to a student. It's a county-wide policy.
Also, with the bus drivers, encourage people to be bus drivers. And the teachers, we're talking about losing teachers. Our teachers have caught heck over the last several years. So please, when you have your child's teacher, thank them for what they do, because all of us, we're quick to criticize, but we don't praise nearly enough. So try to praise your teachers if it's all possible, which is great if you do. Also, Mr. List was commenting about the school performance. More than half the schools do not meet the performance measures. It could have been all of our schools, or the majority of our schools, meet the growth measures. And those letters are great, but you have to look at where, I mean, it's great that we've got high-performing students, but the college, the Stanley Early College and the Albemarle Early STEM, you have to have high grades before you get into that. So of course you'll have a higher performance than the other schools. They have everybody, all performance levels from top to the bottom. And so that's important to look at it also. And the way our pay system is in the school system, that the teachers get paid more if the teacher's class is an A. Well, I beg to differ, but I think the teachers in the D schools are teaching as hard and doing as good a job as those teachers that get their students from a B to A. It's about the growth. It's where you were last year as compared to this year. That's growth. That means that you are making progress in your students' education. And that's what we're all looking for. I mean, I want every student to be at the top, but they're not going to be. But I want them to do the best they can do, because I kind of imagine that if we had the CTE courses and the auto mechanics, if we had that with a grade on it, probably most of the people getting A's in academics would not get A in auto mechanics, because I can just turn the car on. If it doesn't work, I gotta call the car ambulance. So all of it's important, and we as a board, we are working to help everybody in the school system, not just your student or your student, all the students. So we're doing what's best for them. And Mr. Ballinger was talking about the Albemarle STEM and Albemarle High School. In the Albemarle High School for 2 years, we have not had a teacher. We've had a substitute in math and science courses. So for 2 years. So the teacher was gracious enough to agree to try to help our Albemarle High School students. And the person they got taken her place has taught that kind of material before, and she is a certified teacher. So we do have somebody doing it in there.
Was she given a choice?
I don't know. I don't know whether she was, but I'm just explaining the system and what happened. What if your child was in Albemarle and they were in that class that didn't have a math or a science?
What about the kids that they took the teacher from?
Thank you,
What's
Dr.
the-
Leffler. Thank you. Do you have anything else to add?
No, but
Okay, thank you.
But work with your students, like I've said, every meeting, work with your students in math and reading every day. 15 minutes of math and 15 minutes of reading, it'll make a tremendous difference.
Thank you. I would like to congratulate, again, the 2021-22 retired employees. Unlike several of us up here, I wish in 6 months they would come back. And I think, Mr. Poison, I know we said this tonight with many of them, if our legislature would just go back to double dipping, then maybe our teachers would retire and continue to teach for us and be paid what they're worth. Exciting start to the school year. Dr. Dennis and I paid a visit to your school, Ms. Kelly Dombrowski. I see Ms. Erin Gardner there. So we were there at the early college gym, we went to early college. Certainly fun, and it's fun for us when our board, we were able to go into the schools and visit. We always like to set that up with our administrators because we know that you have lots on your calendar as well. But thank you for all that you do there. For those of you here in attendance, for those of you that have stayed through the remaining meeting, our county office staff, Dr. Dennis, thank you for the start of a great school year. Thank you for always being here, for the information that you give to us. We appreciate it. Our next board meeting, because we do not need to go back into full session. Okay. Our next board meeting is set for Tuesday, October the 4th, 2022 in the G. McIntyre room. It will be beginning at 6:15. At this time, may I have a motion to adjourn? No, what do I need to do? Oh, I'm sorry, we've got to do our personnel administration. I'm sorry, Dr. Wood, Ms. Wood.
Anything again. I'd like to draw your attention to the updated personnel agenda that was at your seats, additions that were added in red. Section 1 requires no action. Section 2 does require action, so I'd like to entertain a vote at this time.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve section 2 of the personnel agenda? Motion to approve by Ms. Coughlin, A second? Second by Ms. Watson. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, section 2 has been passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I need a motion. Okay. Now I have a motion to adjourn. Who was that before they gave a motion?
I move.
Okay, Mr. Sorensen, a second by Ms. Conklin. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you.